Hi guys, I'm ɪṛsᴛᴏ and welcome back to my channel. Today I have part 2 of my July wrap-up. The last 4 out of 5 star book, which honestly could be a potential like 4.5, honestly, is Daughter of the Siren Queen by Tricia Levenseller. Oh my god, I love Tricia Levenseller. Daughter of the Pirate King was easy at 5 out of 5 book. I actually think, no, now that I think about it, this is actually probably a 4.5. I love this duology. Like, it is easily one of my most favorite duologies. I read both the books in the duology, Daughter of the Pirate King and Daughter of the Siren Queen, in one day. I unintentionally read this in one day, and I adored it. It was amazing. It was such a great conclusion. It wasn't as good as the first book just because I feel like the romance that had built up in the first book wasn't as well dealt with in the second one. I do love ɪṛsᴛᴏ. She is such a fun main character for me. If you love the Throne of Glass series, I think that you will actually really enjoy this series because ɪṛsᴛᴏ reminds me a lot of Selena because they're both these very fiery, feisty, badass women who can take care of themselves and are really skilled in fighting, but they also love the finery and like the finer things in life, and they're just also very girly at the same time, and I love them. They're so snarky, and I do think this series is awesome. So Daughter of the Pirate King, the first book in this duology, if you are not aware, it is about ɪṛsᴛᴏ. She is the daughter of the Pirate King. What happens is her father is looking for these pieces of a map that lead to this secret treasure. And so she pretends to get captured by this enemy ship so that she can secretly at nighttime go around and find this piece of the map. However, things prove to be a little bit hard because the first mate of this ship, who is the brother of the captain, he's suspicious of ɪṛsᴛᴏ. He's curious as to how they actually managed to capture her, and they have such great banter, and it's just a really fun book, and I love this series. It's great if you're in a reading slump. Like, this book series is great if you've been in a reading slump. Like, it's a pick-me-up through and through. Another 2 4.5 star books that I'm going to be talking to you guys about, I read on the Kindle, and they're both by the same author and they're in the same series. The first book is The Duchess by Tessa. I'm so glad I finally read this. It was actually amazing. Oh my god. I heard amazing things about this series from Լᴏᴏᴅᴅᴅ, and it is well deserving of all the praise that it gets. These are period romances, and I've never really read a period romance slight smut book, and I'm so into them now. And maybe it's just Tessa that I'm into. Like, she's definitely now an author for me, but wow. So in the Duchess deal, we follow Emma, and Emma used to be part of the higher class. However, after falling out with her father, she ends up running away and becoming a seamstress, and she's been a seamstress for 7 years, which is technically part of like the middle lower class. She has been paid to make this wedding dress for this duke, and she makes the wedding dress. However, the duke and his betrothed end up calling it off, and so she doesn't actually end up getting the full payment for her labor. So she's like, okay, he's not returning my calls, the woman's not returning my calls, like, I need someone to pay me because if they don't pay me, I can't pay rent, and then I'm on the streets. So she decides, screw it, she puts on the wedding dress, she goes to his house, walks inside and demands payment. And this duke, the Duke of Ashbury, his name is Ash for short, and he sees her and he goes, you know what, how about this instead? How about instead you marry me, you become my Duchess, and all you have to do is have sex with me, give me an heir, and then you can just go off in the countryside and enjoy yourself. And she's like, no, are you crazy? But then she ends up accepting his deal, and it's, oh, I love it. And it's just a very fun and sweet romance. Like, I loved Emma and Ash together. They were so cute and just so much fun. And Emma had a lot of backbone to herself because even though Ash was like, you know, I'm not gonna bother you, like, you do whatever you want. The only thing I say is that, like, you know, at nighttime we have sex. And she's like, okay, no, that's really not how this is gonna work. If you want this to happen, I demand that every single night we at least eat dinner together. And it's just a lot of fun. Emma doesn't want to be someone who's just breeding for him. She wants to have a purpose in his life. She wants to have her own purpose, and it's just a really, really fun book, and it's a hoot of a time. The other book I read in this series is the second book. The series is called Girl Meets Duke, and the second book is called The Governess Game. And in this, what we do, okay, let me explain this properly. So what happens is Ash's childhood friend is this woman named Penelope, and Lady Penelope has these 2 other friends, and the 3 of them are all kind of spinsters. No one plans on really marrying them. They don't really plan on getting married, and Emma ends up becoming friends with them. And so each of the 4 books in this series is going to follow each of those 4 women. So the second book follows Alexandra Mountbatten, and Alex is so much fun. Out of all of them, she was also a lower class like Emma was, and Alex is a timekeeper. She goes around London. She makes her money by setting clocks to Greenwich time, and so she has to make her own living. And what happens is one day she, goes to this house to go set the clocks, and she walks into this pretty much like sex dungeon, and she's like set aback, and she's just really thrown off by it, and she ends up kind of telling the Duke off. And after she insults him, he looks at her and he goes, "I would like to hire you to be the governess to my nieces." And she looks at him like he's crazy and leaves. However, she ends up having some issues and loses her timekeeper job. So she ends up having to go back to the Duke and be like, "Okay, fine, I'll be the governess to these 2 girls, but just so you know, like, I'm not a lady, like, I haven't been trained to be a governess, like, you have to understand that." And he's like, "It's fine, like, these girls, they need a firm hand, they need someone like you who can talk back, because every single governess that I've gotten for them, they've scared away within the first 24 hours. And these 2 little girls are the best thing in the entire world. Their names are Daisy and Rosamond, and they are hilarious. Every single night, Daisy kills her doll. Like, her doll will die of like dysentery or like some other like really old illness, and they will throw a funeral for it, and it is so funny and so cute. And so Alex is now stuck looking after these girls, but the reason why Chase is looking after these girls is because he was originally 4th in line to become Duke, but after the 3 people ahead of him died, he was thrust into the position, and he doesn't really want it. But with the estate came these 2 girls because they were kind of abandoned, and he doesn't really want anything to do with them. And it's very sad, the relationship that they all have. And so Alex kind of comes in to fix this and to kind of be this loving figure for these 2 girls, and it's really sweet. I really enjoyed it too, so it was a 4.5 stars. The last 4.5 stars was Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, the second book I read of the month, and it was phenomenal and so disturbing and messed up. This is easily the best Riley Sager book I have read to date. I have read all of his books. The first 2 books I read via audiobook. This is the first time I've actually physically read his book, first time I've actually physically read a thriller mystery novel, and I loved it. So Lock Every Door follows Jules Larson, and she recently broke up with her boyfriend, and because of this, she now has no place to stay because she was living with him. And she ends up seeing this ad in the paper for an apartment sitter that is willing to pay $1,000 a week. So she responds to this ad, and it turns out that it's this infamous apartment complex known as the Bartholomew. And the Bartholomew has a lot of rumors around it. It's for the highly elite. And she's really shocked by this. And it's almost been a dream of hers to live in the Bartholomew when she was younger. So she jumps at the opportunity, says yes, even though there are a lot of these rules that seem kind of sketchy, and her best friend is like, maybe don't do it, and she's like, nah, it'll be fine. But then she meets this other apartment sitter there, and they make plans, and she seems really nice, and then the next day this girl just falls off the face of the earth. Jules can't get in contact with her. The apartment complex says that she has moved out, and things are seeming kind of sketchy, so Jules starts looking into things going on at the Bartholomew, and as a result, other events start to happen, and it gets really messed up, guys. So, oh my god, I loved this book. The way that Riley Sager writes is so atmospheric, and you can feel like you are in the Bartholomew. Like, I was reading this book and I had to go online and I had to Google to make sure that the Bartholomew was not a legitimate place, that it didn't actually exist, because it felt real. I thought the Bartholomew was an actual place, and it was awesome that I felt like that. It was so, oh my god, it was just amazingly written and so creepy and atmospheric. And I was constantly wondering like what was actually going on, and I did have an inkling as to who was behind the things going on, and I was correct in that, which is why I did take off half a star. But I did not actually understand the reason behind what was going on, and even when I thought I knew what was going on, it took a whole other turn, and it was just really messed up. Like, out of all of his books, this one is the most messed up, and I loved it. I loved how messed up this was. Like, it's so cool, and it is so smart, and it is believable, and it was good. It was really freaking good. And he's the only adult thriller author that I have as an order buy, so there we go. So now I have my last two books, which are 5 stars. The first book is going to be A Lesson in Thorns by Simone. Oh man, guys, so glad I read this. So we follow Poe, and years ago when she was a kid, her family went to this place called Thorn Chapel to meet up with these other parents that they were childhood friends with. And on this day, many years ago, Poe and the other 5 children were playing around. They came across the actual chapel of Thorn Chapel, and they kind of had a pretend marriage, and that happened. Years later, what happens is Poe receives an offer from Thorn Chapel to come back and be its librarian, pretty much, because that's what she's gone to school for, and she's going to kind of archive all the books and digitalize them. So what happens is Poe ends up going to Thorn Chapel again after all these years, and when she gets there, first off, Thorn Chapel, one of the kids is the owner of it now. She gets there and all the kids are there, all 6 of them are now reunited again, and it's about them reconnecting. But at the same time, Poe has also come back to Thorn Chapel because her mother went missing years ago and she was last seen at Thorn Chapel. So Poe's also kind of hoping to discover what actually happened to her mum. And that's what the story is about. However, it is a polyamorous relationship between all 6 of these adults. And it's 3 girls and 3 dudes, and it's their kind of relationship. You got male action going on, you got female action going on, you got male female action going on, and it is steamy. This is high quality, hardcore, top tier smut. It is some of the best smut I've ever read. Like, it is, like, without even getting to actual sexual intercourse, it was still like the steamiest stuff I have ever read. And that is amazing because it is so beautifully written as well and atmospheric, with Thorn Chapel being this place, and then all the characters very individualized, and it was just such a great smut book. But you have to like be willing to read like intense sex to read this book. So the last book I have to talk to you guys about, that's a 5 out of 5 star easily for me, doesn't come out until August 27th, and that is Crown of Coral and Pearl by Mara Rutherford. I adored this book so much, and if you guys do pre-order the book, there is an incentive to get a character art prints of the twin sisters as well as a signed book plate, so I do recommend you do that because I already did. So Crown of Coral and Pearl starts off on the island of Verenia. Verenia is revered for its beautiful women and its pink pearls that are known to have healing properties. However, in the last couple years, the oysters that host these pink pearls have becoming fewer and fewer, and so the island of Verenia is starting to become more and more poor, and people are kind of having to ration water and food. So our story is about twins Noor and Zadie, and these 2 twins, ever since they were born, have been raised to be potential marriage prospects for the crown prince of Ilara, which is the mainland kingdom. But what happens is Zadie is chosen by the elders as the most beautiful girl of their generation, and so she is to be sent off to be married to the crown prince. However, Zadie gets into a terrible accident and Noor ends up getting sent in her place. Noor goes to this country and she's kind of hoping that she can convince the crown prince and the current king to release their hold on the pink pearls and help them understand what's going on with her people. However, once she gets on the mainland, she begins to realize that everything is not what she thought it was. The crown prince is this very disturbed human being, and he's very cold and unfeeling, and he has no interest in listening to what Noor has to say because he thinks that the healing properties of this pearl will help his people, because there is a sickness that's currently going on in their castle. Their castle's in a mountain. It's very sad and dreary, and honestly very depressing in my opinion. Like, if I I understood Noor when she's like, I've grown up my entire life outside on an island, an open air, like surrounded by water, and now I'm to be the queen of this castle that's in a mountain with no light whatsoever. Like, it's depressing. No wonder why people are getting sick. It's because they're going crazy. Beyond the point, there is other malicious things going on, and as Noor begins to uncover them, she realizes that she has to take action in order to save her people. And it's a very intense storyline. There's a lot of political talk, especially about this kingdom and the bloodline and the way that princes and princesses can be the crown ruler, and what happened to the last queen, because the last queen was murdered, but she was one of the women who came from Noor's island town, and Noor is actually kind of getting close to the second prince, who is the half brother of the crown prince, and that's a really cute romance going on there that I absolutely loved. And it's just very beautifully written, and it talks about a lot of difficult topics, especially the idea of, you know, a kingdom being taken advantage of for their resources, poverty. It talks a lot about beauty and the idea of beauty in society, and it was just so wonderfully written and atmospheric. I loved this world. I could envision everything. The lore in it, it's not high fantasy whatsoever. It's very low scale fantasy, but to the extent that I thought it was very beautifully done, with the idea of these blood corals and these pink pearls and their healing aspects and the way that they all work. I love Nora as a main character. She is such a beautiful and headstrong woman, and she understands that she doesn't have as much power as she would like, but she has to be smart about what she's going around. And I just loved it, and it comes out on August 27th, and I really, really recommend that you guys help support Mara Rutherford in her debut novel by pre-ordering this book, because it is beautiful. The second book comes out next year. I'm just super excited for it, and I really, really just want to support Mara Rutherford to the moon and back, or to the sea and back. No, that sounds silly. Well, why did I say that? But yes, those are all the books that I read this month. Let me know if you guys have read any of these books, or if I have intrigued you in picking up any of these books. If you guys did enjoy this video, please do click the like button as well. If you want to see more of me, please subscribe to my channel, and until next time, thanks a bunch guys. Bye!